Thursday Night Football was a winner. Let's talk Week 9 player props. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in to another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I'm your host, Steven, and we are here to talk some NFL player props, baby. That's right. Happy weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever day it is. We've all made it to the weekend. That's a good sign. If you're looking for game bets, that video is out every Wednesday night, so it is already out there. Go check that out. I'm up over 10 units on the game bets this year. Hopefully, we can stay hot this week. Really interesting week in the NFL. We got some really good matchups like Bengals, Bills, Seahawks, Ravens, Dolphins, Chiefs, which, by the way, is played in Germany at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So just wanted to remind you guys, get those fantasy lineup sets. Get the bets set for that game. But yeah, Germany game going to be a crazy, probably high scoring game, but we will see. In this video, not only am I giving you player props and anytime touchdowns, I am also giving you the best and worst defenses against the wide receiver position, including most and least yards given up and the most and least touchdowns to wide receivers. So hopefully that can help you out with some receiver props. I did running backs last week. And then, of course, we got our 3 favorite player props and 2 anytime touchdown bets. I'm ready to get rolling. Be sure to hit that like button. Leave a comment below if you have any time at all. It really helps this channel grow. We are just rapidly going right to 8,000 subscribers. I literally cannot thank you guys enough. I can't believe how fast it's growing. And this community is awesome. The positivity, everything, the comments are a lot of fun. I like going back and forth with you guys, so keep that up. But other than that, guys, let's get into it. And it starts with some research. All right, let's start out with the least receiving yards given up to wide receivers. These are the top 10 defenses versus the wide receiver position. The Jets have only given up 721 yards to wide receivers. Just keep in mind, something to check out on your own. I didn't put it up here, but some teams have played 7 games, some have played 8. And I am not including the Titans or Steelers. As you can see on the bottom, they already played this week. But yeah, those are the top 10 guys. I don't know if we have any surprises. Falcons have been a good pass defense for a while. Chiefs are going to be tested this week, that's for sure. Probably the Panthers, least receiving yards given up to wide receivers. That's probably because they give up a lot to running backs because teams are always ahead on them. But other than that, nothing too surprising here. Raiders, kind of a little surprising, I guess, to me. But yeah, those are the top 10 defenses versus wide receivers. Let's go check out those crappy defenses versus wide receivers. We're talking the Commanders at 1,579 yards given up to wide receivers. And the Eagles, how about that? The reigning NFC champion Eagles, 1,537. More on that to come later. Other than that, it's surprising to see the 49ers, 1,397. Dolphins, we know they haven't been that great against the pass. But, game script also affects this. And if teams are playing in shootouts because their offense is good and all that kind of stuff. But the Colts have been struggling, a lot of secondary injuries and all that. But yeah, those are the bottom 10 teams versus the wide receiver position when it comes to yards. Now, for all you touchdown bettors, let's check out the top 10 defenses versus wide receivers in regards to touchdowns allowed. How about the Jets, only giving up 1 receiving touchdown all season long to wide receivers. This is an interesting list. Obviously, we have a big tie at 6 over there, but the Texans only 2. They have given up a ton of rushing touchdowns. That's just how they're built. You can run on them in the red zone, but it is hard to get a passing touchdown versus them. And then obviously the Cowboys too. Rams is a little surprising at 4, but they allow a lot of rushing touchdowns. So yeah, those are the top 10 defenses for touchdowns. Let's check out what teams cannot stop the pass in the red zone or just anywhere when it comes to touchdowns. 49ers 8 is kind of a surprise, but the Commanders, I mean, there's a reason, guys. They're just obviously the worst versus wide receivers in yardage and in touchdowns. They've given up 13. Imagine that. You get up 13 touchdowns to the wide receivers while the Jets have given up 1. That is pretty insane to me. Eagles, if they're struggling in the yards, they're probably struggling to give it up touchdowns. Like the Dolphins, Chargers have been terrible against wide receivers all season long. But yeah, that's my ramble on the receivers. I hope you guys can take some screenshots and it helps you out, whether it's fantasy, some player props with the receivers or whatever it is. Again, none of these lists include the Titans or Steelers because they already played. Now, before we get into the player props for week 9, let's talk some Thrive Fantasy. And there is that beautiful free square for Sunday Night Football between the Bills and the Bengals. One of the best games of the year. We got Burrow or over a half of a passing yard. Use the promo code JABO and you get a 100% first deposit match up to $250. Throw $250 in it and they literally hand you $250. It's like someone knocking on your door and saying, here's $250. You do not have to put $250 on your first bet. Just so you guys know, you can put whatever amount you want. But giving you free money, just got to use the promo code Jabo, and then they give you also this free square of Burrow over a half a passing yard. Add it to another leg. You just got to find one other one. Use one that I'm giving out in this video today. 2 out of 2 correct, 3.2 times your money, and they already gave you one of the legs. This is money, guys. I've talked to people that have already used Thrive Fantasy. They love it. Eligible in over 30 states, so hopefully you live in a state that it is eligible. But use that free square, use that promo code Jabo, get some free money. And now it's time to talk some best bets. All right, this first bet may be my favorite player prop of the entire weekend. Maybe my favorite bet. Here we go. Rachaad White of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over 27.5 receiving yards at minus 110 on DraftKings. I don't know why this line is so low, but this guy has turned into a receiving running back lately. They decided, you know what, you can't run the ball very well. You are going to be a receiving running back. In his last 2 games, he has 7 catches and 6 catches. Forget this. 70 and 65 receiving yards on 13 targets. Guys, we're talking like Austin Eckler type numbers. It's unbelievable. He's splitting carries because he doesn't run the ball well, and the Bucs don't run the ball well in general. So he has been a huge help for Baker Mayfield, who loves to dump it down to him. He's faced the Texans, who give up the 10th most receiving yards to running backs, but also because I didn't see the yards per game, it didn't get there yet. 7 of those teams in front of them have actually played one less game than them, or one more game. So, anyways, the Texans are not good, is what I'm saying, versus running backs and receiving yards and all that. I love Rachaad White here. He's putting up wide receiver numbers. I mean, we're talking 7 for 70 and 6 for 65 receiving yards. And these books have not caught up to his new role in this offense, so I'm going to jump on it. I'd play this at 30 and a half, low 30s. I think he gets 40 plus again in this matchup. So let's cash it before the books move this up, probably starting next week. But Rachaad White over 27.5 receiving yards is bet number 1. All right, here we go. I got a couple alt line parlays for you, and this is the first one. We got Adam Thielen 50 plus receiving yards and CD Lamb at 60 plus receiving yards. Put it together, you get plus 100 on FanDuel. I think it was like minus 120 or something on DraftKings, so a big difference. But let's talk Thielen, 50 plus yards. His line is actually around 65 and a half. I'm taking it all the way down to 50. He's been an absolute stud. I did not see this coming. I don't think anybody did. But he's been Bryce Young's go-to guy, and he's over 50 yards in 6 straight games. He actually has no worse than 72 yards in 5 straight. 72 or more in 5 straight. And oh, by the way, how about over 100 receiving yards in 3 of the last 5 games? I just need 50. That's all I need. He is facing a Colts defense that is, how do I put it? They are horrendous right now. I'll just say horrendous. So many injuries in the secondary. They can't stop anybody. You know what? They given up the 10th most yards to wide receivers this year. I would gladly take Adam Thielen. He should probably have 80 to 100 yards again. I just need 50. I'm playing it safe because I am a wuss. Second leg, CD Lamb. Rack a Lamb, 60 plus receiving yards. This guy's been one of the best wide receivers in the league the last couple weeks, ever since he complained about not getting the ball enough. You know, that squeaky wheel treatment, I think they call it. Last 2 games, how about 117 and 158 receiving yards? And that was on 21 targets and 19 catches. So that's what you'd love to see as a bettor. He's getting a ton of volume, a lot of passes thrown his way. He's obviously the number 1 option in Dallas. No question about that. Eagles, they're playing the Eagles. We know they are an elite run defense, as elite as it gets. What that means for the other team, you can keep pounding your head against the wall if you want, but if you want to move the ball and score consistently, you are going to have to do it through the air. They force you to. And you know what? The Eagles also let you throw it through the air. They have given up the 3rd most receiving yards to wide receivers, including 108 yards to Dotson and 95 to McLaurin. That was in the same game. 86 to Tyreek Hill, 63 to Jalen Waddle, 90 to Garrett Wilson, 118 to Cooper Kupp, and 78 to Nakua. Guys, I mean, these guys are all number 1 type receivers. Obviously, Nakua and Waddle aren't, but they're like 1B on those teams. CD Lamb, number 1 receiver, they struggle against it. All I need is for Lamb to get 60 plus yards, along with Thielen to get 50 plus. I'm getting plus 100. I absolutely love this bet. Like I said, I think both of them go over their original lines if you want to play it that way, singly, or however you want to handle it, or go up another 10 yards on some of these. That's up to you guys. I'm just letting you know I like these 2 this weekend. So give me Thielen and give me CD Lamb as my bet number 2. All right, this third and final bet is a same game parlay, and that beauty of a Sunday night football game between the Bills and the Bengals. Give me Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, 2 plus touchdowns each, passing touchdowns each, at plus 149 on FanDuel. Let's start with Burrow. I'm tempted to take the over in this game in general because I think there's a lot of points scored in this one. Burrow is back to being himself. That's right, Mr. Joe Cool, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Last three games, how about 3, 2, and 3 passing touchdowns? And two of them were against the 49ers and the Seahawks. I think him, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins could have some big games. This Bills defense is not just gave up 29 points to the Patriots and 18 to the Bucks, which is a lot when it's the Bucks. So they haven't been dominating lately. Burrow's just an elite quarterback, and also the Bengals struggled to run the ball in the end zone. The running backs for the Bengals only have 2 rushing touchdowns this season, while Burrow has 10 passing touchdowns. Let's go to Josh Allen now, 2 plus passing touchdowns. He's done this in 5 straight games. That's right. I almost bet this by itself, but unfortunately, it's like minus 150, minus 160 range. So, you guys can if you want, but I think these are both good parlay pieces. So I just put them together. Bills are also another team that barely score running the ball in the end zone, at least with running backs. They only have 4 rushing touchdowns this year compared to Josh Allen's 17 passing touchdowns. I know Josh Allen can run the ball in himself, and that won't help us, but I think he gets 2 plus passing touchdowns for a 6th straight game in this one. We're talking 2 superstar quarterbacks to just throw 2 touchdowns each. I'm hoping this is a track meet. It could be like a 30-27 type of game. And if that's the case, these guys are throwing some touchdowns. So give me Allen, give me Burrow, 2 plus passing touchdowns at a nice, sweet plus 149. And let's get into the anytime touchdown bets. All right, let's talk some touchdowns, baby. That's right. I got 2 of them for you. My favorite touchdown bets of the weekend. Both are going to be a half unit because touchdown bets need a little luck, and we don't like to go crazy on them. So here we go. Bet number 1, Taysom Hill, anytime touchdown, plus 200 on FanDuel. If you don't know, this guy is listed as a quarterback, but he's really just a football player, to be honest with you. He has 14 carries in the last 2 weeks, including 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. He's going to be on the field when they get by the goal line. He's not going to be on the field much more than that. He had 7 carries inside the red zone last week and ended up with 2 touchdowns that game. He's playing the Bears. The Bears stink on defense, and we know it. He's the goal line guy. I love that. So give me the plus 200 value on Taysom Hill to score another touchdown. The next one, I did not plan this, I promise, but it is another T Hill. Give me Tyreek Hill anytime touchdown at minus 125 on DraftKings. It's about as high as I'm going to usually go on anytime touchdowns, but he has 8 this year. He scored in 7 of 8 games. He is consistent as it gets. He is a beast. He runs by anybody trying to defend him, and he's going up against his former team, the Chiefs. You don't think he's a little extra motivated, or the Dolphins want to get him the ball even more? I know the Chiefs aren't a super easy matchup. They have a good pass defense and all that, but this is Tyreek Hill. He can find a way to get in the end zone. He is just that good. Game is in Germany, so it could get weird. So if you do want to bet this, obviously get it in early because the game starts 9:30 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to take my chances with the guy who has a touchdown in 7 of 8 games. I'm getting minus 125, almost standard juice. So Taysom Hill, Tyreek Hill are my 2 favorite anytime touchdown bets. And let's check out the bets recap. There are the 5 bets for week 9. If I have any added player props or anytime touchdowns, I will put in the Discord. I will make sure to put my whole card on Twitter or X or whatever stupid name they call it. And it'll also be in the pinned comments below. So Rashad White of the Bucks, the running back, over 27.5 receiving yards at minus 110 on DraftKings. And then we got Adam Thielen, 50 plus receiving yards, and CD Lamb at 60 plus receiving yards at plus 100. Man, I like that one. Just reading it out loud just sounds good. And then the same game parlay on Sunday Night Football. Who doesn't want to cheer for touchdowns and points? Burrow, Allen, 2 plus passing touchdowns each at plus 149. And then the Hill brothers, Taysom and Tyreek Hill touchdowns, plus 200 and minus 125. They are not brothers, by the way. I'm sure that's pretty obvious. But, anyways, those are the best bets for week 9 with the player props. I'm ready to roll. We got the card locked and loaded, baby. We just had a 3-1 NBA night. Let's keep it rolling. For those of you that are new to the channel, we don't do the long videos on the weekends with the NBA, but I should have a short out on Saturday sometime to give you my best bets still. So I hope you guys have a great weekend and enjoy some football. We'll talk to you soon.